Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I'm Tina. Today I'm doing my wrap up for June and my what's up for July, where I talk about what I read in June and what I'm going to read in July. June was fine, just busy. I'm looking forward to having some time off in July. Also, I get a bit despondent around my birthday. I don't know, I've always kind of found my birthday to be a little bit disheartening. I don't know why. I just focus on the fact that I'm all the things I could have done in my life, even though it's not really regrets. It's just kind of oh, there's so many things that I kind of want to do, and am I going to have time and all this stuff. I don't know. I guess I worry about it. Anyway, so my birthday is coming up. It's in a couple weeks. I'm going to be doing a little post on my birthday about that. I will mention that in a little bit. Anyway, what did I read in June? I'm going to go through them based on kind of the books that I like the least up to my favorite book of the month, which if you follow my channel, you probably guess what that is, but we'll see. So the book that I didn't like as much, none of these books I gave less than 3 stars to, but was Next of Kin. This was an old school science fiction. It was just too old school in a way. It was just kind of boring, and there's a lot of wandering around in the woods for being a science fiction. So not the most exciting book in the world. Next is Accidental Intelligence. This was a future kind of detective story. I read it for the SPSFC4, where it was a semifinalist. I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. It wasn't my favorite kind of concept, so that's fine. Next was Tusk Love. This was a romance based on the Vox Machina Critical Role show. It was fine. It was a bit too spicy for me. It was fine. It takes a very special romance for me to give it 5 stars. Next was This Princess Kills Monsters. This book was fun. It was a kind of a fairy tale, kind of satire. It was just I don't know, it needed a bit kind of more oomph to it at times. Next was Time of the Cat. This is another SPSFC4 book. This was a kind of sci-fi romp, time travel story with talking cats and going back in time and the shenanigans, and it's very British. It's very fun. I really enjoyed it. I listened to that one on Audible. Next is the River Alive, or Is a River Alive? This is an eco nonfiction about basically should rivers have personhood rights, essentially, and what that means and why they should. And it's also a travel memoir because he goes to Ecuador and Canada and northern Quebec and India, and he kind of looks at the river systems there and kind of how they've been impacted by our society and things like that. Next was Rose House. I actually didn't do a review of this because it was part of the Interstellar Book Club's pick for the month. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting. I listened to it on Audible. It was very short. It was very complex. The one thing I'll say about it is that it almost felt a bit dated in a way in its approach to AI, because so much has happened since the book was released and presumably when she wrote the book, because it does take about 18 months minimum to get a book from once you kind of pitch it to a publisher and they accept it to actually producing it, sometimes up to 3 years. So yeah, I don't even know when she wrote it. So that was the only thing I'll kind of say about that, is that it felt a bit it didn't take a strong enough stance, I think, on where she stood on AI. And I think that kind of felt a bit lacking in today's society, where we are very kind of divided, I think, on how people feel about AI. As you know, I am not a fan of AI. A Study in Black Brew is the next book I read. This was a queer novella. It was a fun take on, I almost said Shakespeare, on Sherlock and Holmes. If you watched my review, you'll notice that I did it again. Sherlock and Watson. I keep saying Sherlock and Holmes. It's Sherlock Holmes, Tina. This. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, Sherlock and Watson detective story. It's based on A Study in Scarlet, which is the first one of Sherlock, and so it's really fun. I really enjoyed it. Next, we have Death on the Caldera, which I really loved. 5-star review for sure on this one. This is a fantasy book set in kind of a golden age fantasy, where there is a train crash and there's all this interesting magic, and there's these 3 siblings that are trying to reconnect, but then there's all these other characters, and it's a really good mystery, and I really, really enjoyed it. Then we have The Names, which I thought was just excellent. It's not a book I'll read again because it's way too harrowing, and it's kind of a one-time experience book, I would say. But I thought it was just a really important story because of how it approaches domestic violence, and also kind of the hopefulness of kind of getting out of that situation. But it also had a really interesting premise, which is there's this woman and her baby is born and she's going to register his name in the late 80s. She takes her daughter with her. When she gets there, that kind of spawns three different storylines. One where she names the baby what her abusive husband wants to name the baby, another where she picks the name, and a third where she lets her daughter pick the name. And these three kind of decisions she makes has really interesting repercussions on not just her life, but the children as they grow up to be about 35. And it jumps forward in time about 6 or 7 years every kind of chapter. And it's really, really interesting and really well done. If you've seen it on like various lists and stuff, it's totally worth it. I really liked it. And my favorite book of the month was, you probably guessed it, The Devils. Yes, I purchased it in hard copy. I think I mentioned this in my review. It's got such cool pictures inside it. Anyway, I thought this book was so much fun. I couldn't stop listening to it. I listened to this huge mammoth beast in like one weekend on Audible. I couldn't put it down. So yeah, if you like grimdark fantasy, if you like kind of just ridiculous, over-the-top violence that's so ridiculous it becomes absurd. Yeah, it's so fun. It's such a fun book. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, that's my favorite book of the month. I also wanted to talk about another book that came out this month called Chase Harlem. This is a really fun like PI mystery set in New Orleans. It's about this quirky kind of ex-forensic investigator, and she's now a private detective, and she's trying to solve this interesting murder case, and it's got a lot of like a lot of New Orleans flair. I've only been in New Orleans once, and I was only there for like an afternoon. I didn't get to do the whole experience, but I did eat some really great etouffee, and we walked Bourbon Street, all that stuff, and I'd love to go back. It was a very, very fun, vibrant city. Not like I'm going to the United States right now at all, at least until someone's gone, but if I ever get the chance to return to the United States, I'll totally add that place to my list. Anyway, this book was really fun because it kind of reminded me of that and that trip that I did. It was actually on my honeymoon that I went there. And yeah, it's just really fun, and it's like got such like a quirky kind of cool style to it. So you should totally check it out. I think the cover's really fun too. I didn't review it because I am affiliated with the author, but I just wanted to like shout this one out because it's really fun. It came out, I think, on the 24th or something. So yeah, what am I reading in July? I've got a really kind of fun July with a lot of sci-fi again. I've been kind of drifting into like horror and fantasy for a while, but no, I'm coming right back to sci-fi. So the first book is not actually a sci-fi at all. It is The Road to Godrich, which is a Canadian historical fiction. I'm going to be reviewing that on Canada as long as A, my internet doesn't kick out for some reason, and B, I remember to do it. I wanted to post it on Canada because it's set in Canada. But anyway, it's about a woman. I've read it already. It's about a woman in Scotland, actually, and she marries this douche guy, and they move over to Canada, which is when it was being developed by the Canada Company, which is basically like a development company trying to get more people from Europe specifically to colonize Upper Canada, which is the kind of, they had Canada separated into two. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, so it's like it's a colonial story, I guess, about this woman and kind of the life that she has to live based on kind of these societal expectations at the time. And it's really interesting. I will give you a full review of that on Canada Day, which is July 1st, if you're not aware, which is, if I post this on the 30th, it'll be like the next day. But anyway, after that, I'm going to be reviewing Whiskey and Warfare for the SPSFC 4. This is the finalist. This one is about 4 female identifying characters, and they're all kind of in their late middle age. Is it late 50s, I guess? Late middle age? I don't know. I never know. I'm very saddened at the fact that apparently I will be entering middle-aged in 2 weeks, given I'm turning 40. So I don't want to be like, these ladies are middle-aged, because I'm like, but that means I'm close to that. Anyway, so these older ladies, but they're still badasses, and they're kind of mercenaries, and one had taken a break from the mercenary life and is coming back to it based on the fact that her partner has died. And it sounds really fun, but it also has a really kind of serious aspect to it because it deals with one planet and a genocide. So yeah, it's a really, really good book. I really enjoyed it, and the review's coming up next week or this week, depending on when I post this video. Then there will be a birthday post surprise video. It's not going to be that exciting, I don't think, but I think it'll be fun. I've been kind of thinking for a long time what I'm going to do for my 40th birthday and what I'm going to post, and I've decided what I'm going to do. So I'm going to have a fun little post for that. Not a review, but it'll be book related, of course. And then I'm reading A Covenant of Ice, which is the third in the Songs of Ischia, I think, series. The Mountain Crown was a book that I really loved, I think last year, or was it the end of the year before? It's a novella. It's a fantasy book. It deals with like colonialism and the after effects of war, and it's really interesting. It has some really cool kind of dragon mythology in it. It's really neat. Really neat. Uh, the next book I'm reading is The Last Voyage. I don't know what this is about. I requested this one like so many months ago. Oh, these long like NetGalley spans that they have. You can do up to like 9 months or something, I think, on NetGalley. I'm like, oh my God, I can't remember what any of this is. I'm assuming this is some kind of a generation ship book. I don't know. We'll see. And then Automatic Noodle. I read the Terraformers last year with the Interstellar Book Club. This is by the same author, and it is about a bunch of robots, I think, that run a restaurant. It sounds really fun and cozy. It's a novella. I'm excited for that. Then we've got Tio's Durumi, which is a sequel to Ocean's Gudori. And I don't remember what this is about. I'm assuming it's continuing the story of that kind of Firefly-esque crew and their Korean-based kind of society, which is fun. I think it's really great, and I'm excited to read the second part. I really liked the first one. And then the Elysium Heist, I kind of slid this one in. I believe this is a lesbian heist movie. A lesbian heist novel. Set on a space station or something. I can't remember. I was just like, oh, this one sounds fun. And then I'm reading Yours Celestially by Al Hess. This is for the SBS of C4 again. This is another finalist. I don't know what this is about at all. Then there's The House of Monstrous Women. This is a Filipino gothic mystery horror. I'm so excited for this. It sounds awesome. I can't remember the premise at all, other than that it was Filipino and it was gothic. But that's enough for me. Then I'm going to be reading a classic science fiction. I don't know which one. Again, I'm going to try to find one that is exciting. The last one I read wasn't super exciting, so hopefully I can find one that has a lot of juicy stuff to talk about. I also, because I'm insane, requested another book randomly on NetGalley, not realizing it came out early July, which is The Homecoming. I don't even remember what it is about. I literally requested this, I think, 4 days ago, and I cannot remember what it was about, and they approved me, and I'm like, shoot, now I'm going to have to fit this one in. I'm probably not going to get to review it by the due date, but I'm going to try to squeeze it into July, because I feel bad when I, request things and don't get them in by the due date. Though, really, I don't know why they think I can read this book in, a week. And lastly, we're reading Some Desperate Glory for the Interstellar Book Club. This book has been on my list for, I think, 2 years. I was rejected for an ARC 2 years ago when I first started kind of doing NetGalley stuff. So I was like, it's always been kind of in the background. And then for the Interstellar Book Club, I've been kind of putting it forth every month as maybe we could do it this month. And then they said, oh, it's your birthday. We can do it finally. I'm like, yay. So I'm going to listen to that one on Audible probably because my library has it, but I have so many other books to read this month. It might be fun to just listen to it on Audible. So yeah, that's what I am reading this month. Let me know if you've read any of these or if any of these sound really interesting to you. Let me know if you've read Ocean Gudori because that book is really, really fun. You should totally check it out if you like space opera and kind of, a kind of interesting crew on a spaceship. That's kind of the basic deal of it. Thanks.